Yes, a lot of it. And I don't know that it's not connected to the rest of the stories because, it is. And the writer comes from a conflict
Yes, that
zone,
is
right?
true.
She's
But
writing about conflict
uh,
and how it impacts her and how political conflicts and interpersonal conflicts, they all, often they
uh,
are intertwined, right? So you cannot separate one from the other. And when I was writing that story, I remember I was also like communicating with my editor, and I'm like, "Hang on, there's just one story left, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it." So it was. This book is. I mean, there are like in anything that any writer, right, any fiction writer does. There's a lot of autobiography, right? But
uh,
it's also auto-fictional, right, in the
uh-huh.
sense that it also shows my development as a writer and how I understand conflict. So the first few stories are very external or externalized,
Yeah.
talking about the conflict context and other characters who are involved in the conflict. And more they move inward. More and more
Uh,
they are less about the actual conflicts, but more about how they impact people, how people
uh,
internalize them, or how it moves from the external to the internal, from the very real, factual to the magical and the symbolic. And there's a lot of folklore in some of the stories. So bringing in all these elements, and in the end, sort of just saying, what happens when the writer herself is caught in this web of conflict.
mhm,
So if the writer's job, the only job of the writer is to be a witness, to document what is happening out
mhm,
there, right? Um, but the writer is also a part of that conflict. The writer is also complicit in all the
mhm,
changes that are happening in society. Um, what happens if the writer herself is caught in that conflict and is unable to write? So
mhm,
that was the question that kept coming to my mind after I put together the rest of the book. And this story was not happening, and I'm like, but what happens if I can't write it? What happens if this story wants to be written, but I can't write it because of all the trauma, the violence that I have witnessed? And what happens then? Right. So is it my sole job as the writer to do this, or I don't know. It's there were a lot of questions when I was writing that story, and like it's called Never Got Written. So the whole question
mhm.
is, did it get written at all? And was it a story at all? And but so it's kind of like also playing with the reader's mind and asking them that question. Yeah, like, do you think the story got
Okay.
written after all? So yeah.